GSTL. This is our second match, of course, of the season. It's going to be between StarTale and AZUBU. I have Wolf with me as always. Let's get started.
We are going into our second game. StarTale vs AZUBU is the match of the day. And we are, of course, once again looking at a best-of-7 format. Yesterday we already had our first match when Innovation was the starting player for Team Axiom Acer, and he made quite the impression here in the team league.
Yeah, he really did. Looking very strong, getting that sick all-kill. Here's a shot of some of our players here. StarTale looking very good in their relatively new jerseys. Really, really liking those. Looking very professional.
Yeah, AZUBU, they had a few changes in the recent past. A couple of players left the team. Ganzi retired, Genius and San left AZUBU. Here we have the WCS Season 2 champion. This was, of course, a bomber. And today we will maybe even see a couple of the new players that just recently joined AZUBU. Amongst them, Santa, Patience, and I think it's pronounced Neige.
Yeah, Neige. He was Neige just a few moments before, and they changed it to Neige.
Kind of had a couple of tests. He was Neige, so we don't really know how to pronounce his name just yet. I guess later on when we are going into a game, if he plays, then we might find out as soon as the Street Fighter voice introduces him.
He could have gone with like something like Nagel or Nigel, maybe?
Not Nigel. Nigel, every single time I heard Nigel, I think about like an old English butler.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm feeling you on that. The teeth probably aren't too good, and he's...
Oh, their teeth are always amazing, but the accent drives me crazy after a while.
Well, they actually can't really get on you, especially those older ones. You know, if you have the name Nigel, you're probably up in the teeth there.
I'm just thinking about it, like, isn't there like a TV series these days where one of the characters is actually called Nigel?
I think once on Family Guy there was a Nigel or something.
I don't know, not
remember.
Family Guy, like, wasn't it a cartoon? I can't put my finger.
Oh, was it Wild Thornberries like a long time ago that had him as a character?
Like,
I think is
I
Nigel.
Don't know. I have never watched that, I feel, but like I guess probably the audience knows. We might find it out later. But today, of course, it's more about StarCraft. It's about our the first game actually for the two teams that we have here. It's the second GSTL match that we have this season. And AZUBU versus StarTale should be a good one, especially since StarTale, with the WCS champion, with Bomber here, has of course a really nice lineup. And one of the players that we want to see today is, of course, Life.
Yeah, Life, somebody that has kind of been back in the shadows right now, not showing the best play we've seen from him. Still a really strong player, a great Zerg player to have on your lineup, and I think he's definitely going to come out at some point today. The question is when.
You could actually argue that the starting player for the StarTale team is doing a lot better than Life these days. Avenge had a really nice record in the last season and was doing very well in the Challenger League too. Today he is going to be the StarTale player, the starting player for his team. So that should actually be really interesting. I'm really happy to see Avenge play again. He always had a very aggressive and very interesting style that he has shown us, especially in the individual league. But in the team league, of course, it's where his team is today. Banking his hopes on it.
Yeah, I feel like one of the best ways to describe him is clever. Here are results from yesterday. Innovation got the all-kill, defeating Hurricane, SC, Seed, and Lenok, making them all look pretty easy. The only game he seemed to struggle a little bit was against SC in his worst matchup, but after a little while he was able to turn the tide to take the win.
Yeah, and Innovation yesterday, I mean, he really showcased how good he is. That all-kill was something that a lot of fans wanted to see, and he delivered.
Yeah, he certainly did. Being very, very strong there, and I'm sure Acer is very happy with his performance. Looking at some stats here, AZUBU and StarTale played each other twice. AZUBU won both times. You can see the ratio of races as well as where the players are. And a few more players in the Premier League for AZUBU, but StarTale, very, very strong lineup, and most of their players on StarTale are more consistent players than the AZUBU ones. So even though right now there are more players in the Premier League, StarTale, generally speaking, has had stronger players in the individual leagues.
On the other hand, we have for the AZUBU team, of course, with Sleep, one of the players who just recently was able to make it to the round of 16 here at the WCS Korea Premier League. Young and Dream were the two opponents that had to go down to the Challenger League. Maru and Sleep, the two who advanced to the round of 16. So already an accomplishment here with a strong Zerg player in the lineup. And the Zerg is already starting things off today for Team AZUBU.
Yep. We will be seeing Boom Boom coming out earlier. Now here's the StarTale roster, a much bigger roster than AZUBU's by far. Such good players in here like Hack, Avenge, our starting player, Bomber, the WCS champion, Curious. I mean, I could list them forever. There's so many good players here.
I'm really happy to see Balloon on the lineup. He was one of the players who was able to get into the Challenger League just recently. He fell out again, but he's now on the StarTale lineup and can practice with the team. With Pet, we have, of course, a Zerg player that we have not really seen in the individual league all that often, but he's a solid player and someone who could make a breakout performance anytime. But of course, here, faces like Life, Avenge, and Curious already tell the tale. StarTale in a really good shape. And a lot of people expect them to maybe even take the season.
Yeah, a lot of people are expecting that. Great performance last season as well. And there's Bomber, the man himself, always confident. Someone we will probably see today if things go sour for StarTale.
And he's just looking at the camera and he's like, take that camera away, dude.
Not too concerned about the camera there. And here's the AZUBU team, looking at their roster. A lot smaller than it was last season, really missing players like Violet, like Genius.
Yeah, but at the same time, now we have the new players. You can see them in the third row, Center, Nej, and Patience. And we have like a lot of talents here, especially Center is, of course, great to see him on a team where he can now play here in Korea. And of course, we have still older players like Supernova, like Sleep, who, as I just said, will fight for the round of 16 in the Premier League. And of course, Symbol, he always carried his team in the past, and we can expect him to do the same thing now this season.
Yeah, Sleep doing decently well yesterday, surprising a lot of people in Code S, and somebody we could see come out today. Symbol definitely going to be the anchor of the team, no doubt in my mind. This whole season, he's going to be the guy they rely on in dire times. Because they're missing, like I said, a lot of players they had last season. And they can't fall back on those anymore. So this is going to be a really important match for AZUBU, I feel like, because they want to get the momentum this season going as early as possible. They don't want to start falling down where they've already lost so many of their players. The morale of the team could go down even further if they don't get an early lead here.
That's definitely true. A couple of wins in the team league could help them just getting their reputation up there. The team had a lot of problems already in the last season. Not the players themselves necessarily, but the reputation of the team, of course, suffered a little bit with everything that was going on. And now with the recent people that left the team, that it didn't help. So a couple of wins early in the GSTL season 2 would definitely help them quite a lot. So the coach must be feeling the heat just a little bit, and going up against such a strong team as StarTale on your first match is definitely going to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have liked to probably face Seoul early on, but they don't get that chance. They're going to play against StarTale. Both teams coming down here. You can see StarTale's lineup is just massive. They don't even have all their players here today.
I still have to say that a few of the AZUBU players, like one of the newer players, I think it's Patience, reminded me a little bit of Choya. I was just seeing him from afar on the bench, and I'm like, what is Choya doing here? Like, what? There was no. Why would he be here? And then I took a closer look and realized that it's not necessarily him. But yeah, that was actually a little bit like. It was quite interesting earlier.
Yeah, I saw that earlier too. You showed me. Bomber looking very ready here, very confident. And even if Bomber doesn't come out today, he's a great source of advice for his team. He can see things that other players can't because he just has more experience. He can help make the better choices for his team, talking to the coach and saying, you know, I really think we need to send a Zerg out here, not a Protoss, for example, as the Team League match goes on. So just having him on the bench, even if he doesn't play, is such a great source of advice.
And at the same time with the AZUBU, it would be really interesting to see a few of the newer players today. I expect that we can definitely see Symbol probably once again as the last man standing for his team. Sleep would of course be a good choice given his recent results, but I would like to see maybe Center, maybe Patience, maybe Nej, one of them.
Yep. Very handsome referee there, just showing on camera for a second.
Yeah, I'm always wondering, like, why is he so handsome?
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. He's got some sort of magic. You know, sometimes he just wears a t-shirt even. I don't know how he gets away with that, but he still looks so handsome.
Yeah, it's incredible. You guys should tell him.
Yeah, let him know.
Jump on Twitter. His ID is TSLRAM, R-A-M, and just tweet him and ask him why he's so handsome.
Yeah, we're looking for the answers, so the more you guys tweet at him, maybe we can get some answers here.
Yeah, the more tweets we get at him, the better, then we might finally get an answer of what's his secret, what he's doing, because he was also very excited when that happened the last time, so you could definitely do that.
Yeah. So, I don't have internet on my PC, so hopefully that's going to be fixed fairly soon so we can get into the game.
Did you check the cable?
I checked the cable, and I even had a guy, I just saw him come over here and check the cable too. So, the cable is good. It must be like a DNS problem or something that I can't fix while I'm on TV, but It should be resolved the second we go off camera. Like someone's gonna fly and swoop in and come down, start pressing a bunch of buttons, and make it all fix.
We just need the GOM Wizard to stand close to the PC, and then suddenly it works again.
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
It's like always the mystery. Like every single time, if you work in a big company, you know exactly what we're talking about. Like you get a new PC, for example, you come to work someday, and you try everything, and for some reason your PC just doesn't work. Like everything just does not work at all, and you're like, okay, well, there's no solution. You try to fix it yourself, but it doesn't work. So you call the tech guys, and the guy comes over, and the second he moves into the room, everything works perfect. He's like, why did you call me? I'm like, I swear to God, like it didn't work like a second ago.
Sometimes, I mean, he really is a wizard. Sometimes I'm here, you know, I'm waiting. We don't have a PC for like 5 sets. And I get a text from producer like, on the 6th set, look east. And I like, look east. And it's all white, and he's coming down on a horse. He rides in, and then my PC just starts working. Yeah, he's great, but he's not here now, and so I'm hoping that this is going to get resolved before we go into set number 1.
Yeah, I actually think he's talking to the admin right now and asking him why he's so handsome and what exactly his secret is. Like, I don't blame him. Like, if I had the time, I would do the same thing.
I would do the same thing, you know. I often ask him, and he usually just smiles and laughs and then walks away. It's like he's keeping a big secret.
Yeah, we actually saw, like, a random foreign girls in the audience come up to him today and ask the exact same question, so...
Yeah, everyone's got it on their mind. Why is he so handsome?
Yeah, exactly. But talking a little bit more about StarCraft, we have our first game today with the Protoss versus Zerg and Avenge. I don't know, like, going into this match, I don't really know who I expect to win here, because Boom Boom is an opponent who has a lot of experience. Avenge, maybe not the same amount here as his Zerg opponent, but still, Avenge is a little bit on a roll. This guy is playing so strong, and so, well, I actually expect him to do, maybe even get the starting win here for his team, especially since Boom Boom, he doesn't seem as strong anymore as back in the days when he was still one of the starting players for the Prime team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's one of those shadow players we have right now. He's just kind of back there, and nobody really knows what how he's doing in practice. He's always been a decent player, and him being the starting player means he's definitely in the zone right now. His team wants to rely on him as the starting player, but Avenge is just more consistent right now, and I have to give him the edge. Even though it's not a Protoss versus Terran, it's not his matchup that he's known for, I still like his chances here.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, right now... Okay, the wizard is here.
Yeah.
One of the wizards, at least. We have several wizards.
He's like
the amazing thing.
The wizard's apprentice, the sorcerer's apprentice.
Well, we will find out if he's able to fix that as well.
Looks like he did it.
Oh, wow, that was fast.
He just had to change the DNS, and now looks like we're going to be good. And here's a shot of Boom Boom. Used to be known for eating a lot of hamburgers. Used to celebrate a lot with food. And actually, he's lost a little bit of weight. He's looking good. And he's definitely a top-tier player, even though, as of late, he hasn't looked as dominant, like you said, as his prime days. I think he's definitely got a chance of taking this early set here, and AZUBU has called upon him as the starting player for a reason.
Yeah, AZUBU really needs a few early wins. Of course, they can rely on Sleep, for example, and also on Symbol, but they have a pretty Zerg-heavy lineup these days, and this makes them also a little bit predictable. I don't know how far along the other players and other races are that they have. Supernova, of course, always a player that he can call upon if need be. But StarTale has so much diversity here on their bench that they should have an answer for everything that AZUBU throws at them. So the opening match is going to be so important, especially in the best of 7.
Yeah, very true. Not a best of 9 here. Players are looking pretty ready. My StarCraft is loading perpetually. I have my internet back. But I've got only a few more seconds to get into this game. I'm feeling tense about this first match, not necessarily because it's so exciting, but because I want to get into this game as well myself.
The client is loading.
I mean, it said loading for a while. I think I have to restart it. I think I'm out of luck here. It won't even close. Alright, we're the game started already. For the first game, I'm going to have to watch on your PC, but that'll be okay, because look at the new sexy overlay that we have made by Zed with the income shown at the top right.
So we are going into our first game of the day, guys. StarTale here, the second season of the GSTL, is going up against Team AZUBU. And we have a Protoss versus Zerg in game number 1. We have Avenge going up against Boom Boom here at the GSTL. StarTale versus AZUBU. And Colin Wolf. Starting to the top left of Polar Knight, we have the StarTale player, the Protoss. He is called
StarTale, Avenge.
Starting things off with the pylon in this main base here quite early, so we will most likely see an opening with the gateway. Could also be hidden forge in the main, but not really what you usually see, so let's see what exactly Avenge has in his mind. Up to the bottom right, we have his opponent, the Zerg player for Team AZUBU. It is
AZUBU Boom Boom.
Boom Boom, such a great Zerg. He's been around for a while. See if he can prove himself again. Just to talk about our new overlay just a little bit, to highlight things, it's pretty obvious. You can see underneath the mineral count and the gas count, the inner mineral and gas income, but also underneath the supply, you can see the supply is broken down to worker supply, where the W is, and army supply. So you get a lot of extra information now up there at the top right.
That's one of the best changes for the overlay ever, because one of the things that is always a little bit crucial when you're looking at the supply is that sometimes there is such a huge difference in the worker supply that it's really, I mean, it's easy to get fooled.
Yeah.
You look at the supply and you see one player is massively ahead, and suddenly the fight occurs and you're like, wait a second, why did that fight not really end in favor of the other player? And then you realize, oh, okay, obviously because he did have too many workers, not enough army supply to compete with his opponent. So that's something that will definitely help with the observing here. And at the same time, we have now the start with the hatch. No block here with the probe, but still pool first for Boom Boom.
Yeah, very safe play by Boom Boom as well, with that drone, making sure he wasn't getting cannoned. And so far, no core just yet for our Pross. There he goes. He made a Zealot first, decided to cancel it, and went to the core. The probe just still hanging around, being threatening here. He wants to see if there's a gas, and also just keeps scaring him into keeping that drone off the line.
What I really like is the second pylon that we see for Avenge, that is a little bit farther to the bottom right, bottom left actually of his main base, so he could try to just hide a few buildings there. The Overlord did not spot the pylon, so at this point Boom Boom doesn't really know where the tech structures will be, or the gateways if there are any. And this is always a little bit annoying. If as a Zerg player you miss the early pylons and you don't know where the next structures of your opponent will be placed down, you are always wondering what exactly is going on here. So for Boom Boom, this is already a little bit tricky, or could be at least.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's the Avenge Nexus going down. So he just goes for a pretty standard gateway expand here. And, you know, with the Mothership core coming out right now, it should be really easy for him to defend any sort of aggression that comes out. And he will wall very soon. The question now becomes, how does Boom Boom respond to this? Because he hasn't taken gas at all, so he's really just getting extra queens and droning up right now.
And more important, Boom Boom doesn't take another base. He's currently on 2 bases, and that is the usual response that we see when you are facing a gateway expand and not a forge expand. Usually with a forge expand you would see that a 3rd base for the Zerg a lot faster. But at the same time, we have now the gas taken for Boom Boom. So he's taking up a little bit faster than he usually would be, and takes the 3rd a little bit later. Still scouting for the probe, and he finds it, takes it on.
Yep, takes it on here. The probe likely to die very shortly. And that was a really good scout, because in this map, we've seen it before, there's a lot of different ways you can abuse your Pennant from the low ground down there. Wants to make sure there's no pylon. Obviously, Pross doesn't have siege tanks, but eventually, if you don't see that, it could become a problem. And with the Nexus finishing up here, you can now start mining from both bases. He goes into 3 gateways, no forge just yet. He's going to want to add that eventually, so he can get some cannons out. And Boom Boom just gets speed and continues to drone up. No 3rd base still.
For him, this is actually like a really good position to be in, because if he takes another base, and he will eventually, especially when he is able to take down that probe and therefore deny the scouting, and he's in a position where he has speed, so he can work against his opponent's move-outs in case that eventually decides to be aggressive. And at the same time, he has everything at his disposal to just start his own tech up, to get another base up, just drone up and get the better income. And here comes the 3rd, as already predicted, right after the probe has been taken out. So a really good start for him into the game. And yeah, Avenge doesn't do too much just yet. Getting his robo, but not playing this overly aggressive.
Yeah, pretty quick robo. On the other hand, skipping Stargate entirely. And since he doesn't have a forge, I don't see him being very aggressive with that, minus maybe a warp prism.
Talking about skipping, the one thing that we didn't see just yet for the Zerg is Roach Warren.
Yeah. And this could be a problem if we see a sentry drop here and he doesn't have his lings in position. It's not, you know, necessarily going to be the case, but with the fast robo like this and the sentries coming out, seems more likely. There's the Roach Warren finishing here.
Roach Warren coming up at 7 minutes into the game, so getting it a little bit later, but still he will be able to react to anything that Avenge can throw against him. And we have actually, instead of Warp Prism on Observer, the first Immortal being built right away, and also Chrono boosted. So that could be a very aggressive move out by Avenge, trying to just pressure his opponent as fast as he can. A big problem is that those Zerglings are already doing damage and moving in. Ah, nice, surrounding the Zealots here, and all of them are going to die. So that was a really nice move here by
Yeah, it's really good to get those ults when they're split up like that. Overlord here does not see, unfortunately, though, the robotics.
That's exactly what we talked about earlier, that pylon at the bottom of the main base.
It comes into play, it really does. Warp Prism here, or rather a Mothership Core may be able to save these Zealots. He decides not to, though. Probably just going to fly home. He wants to save that energy from when the actual push occurs with the Immortals, and keep his hit points as high as possible, though.
But right now we have a really good position for Boom Boom, except for the fact that he doesn't know what exactly is going on. His Overlord was taken out, so it's all about, like, what does he take from this? Does he think that this was only a little bit of initial aggression and that he can just safely drone up? He got a lot of Harvesters now, but he would still be fine if he decides to go into units. He has Zerglings already on the map, he can scout everything that's happening. When he sees the move out of his opponent, he should be able to just get those roaches into the picture as fast as possible. His lair tech is nearly done. It would also enable him to get additional upgrades like roach speed. And he really needs it, but he's still droning up and he might actually overdo it a little bit.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here. 12 drones on production right now, and he hasn't seen this army just yet. As soon as he sees it, he's going to need to do everything in his power to get as many roaches out as possible. He already has a good Ling count. Should also try to buy time with those Lings. Do run-bys. Try to catch reinforcements. Anything he can. He sees the army now. This is his first glimpse. What does he respond with? 5 roaches immediately. Gets the Overseer as well.
We have a macro hatch for him building, but that macro hatch will take a long time until it finally comes into play with the extra lava. And this army is already walking towards that third. I'm not quite sure if he can actually save that third, and he is not too sure either. He actually walks back with all of his drones, tries to track them. Great hallucinations here by Avenge. I really like it. But Boom Boom is now gearing up, and he's sacking that third base. A good decision. There was no chance for him to hold it.
Yeah, but it looks like Avenge is not going to even try to go for it. He goes to attack the army instead. Takes out the Spore Crow. These Spines are definitely not going to finish, and this is a deadly army coming through here.
Really good decision making here by Avenge, ignoring the third base and going straight for his opponent. He wants to end the game here. He doesn't want to get a lead. He wants to end it, and he might as well. He's going in, taking down most of his opponent's screens already. Nice force fields here, blocking the drones. They can't assist the army, and Avenge is looking in a great position here.
He certainly is. He's up several army supply, almost 30 now. Great force on the drones. The drones can't do anything here, and this is looking like a disaster, and he even force fields the ramp. Wow. There's no way that Boom Boom can recover from this. Avenge has basically done it.
These force fields are just amazing. He gets the perfect force field to shield the drones away in the first go, then later on moves to the bottom, uses another one, blocks all of the drones. Like about 30 to 40 drones were blocked there. He had the drones of the natural and the third in the same position. He blocks the ramp and then just moves in. Avenge is going to win this game. If not, a miracle is going to happen here. And it's actually incredible thinking about what kind of good of a position Boom Boom was in after the start.
It all came down to that pylon. You said it right in the beginning. As soon as he made that pylon, you said that could be a problem, and it certainly was. He didn't see it. His Overlord didn't scout this. If he had seen this earlier, he would not have made those 12 drones. He would have started getting roaches earlier, would have had his macro routes. He's dancing the Immortals. That's a pretty cool dance animation.
He's dancing everything here. I mean, at the beginning, taking down those Zealots was great for Boom Boom. He had the map control, but he completely misread what was happening. He scouted with an Overlord. He didn't see the tech. He didn't see the gateways because they weren't built at that point. Avenge played that very smart, and then Boom Boom droned up, and that was the wrong decision. GG! And game over.
Just a lack of information here, but very good execution by Avenge. The force fields, like you said, are beautiful. Really showing how you can utilize sentries as well with the hallucinations. A lot of fake Immortals making it difficult to target. Even that one fake Colossus gives you a lot of utility because it gives you high ground vision, and it's just a big scary unit that you might force your opponent to target.
Boom Boom just completely misread that. He was in a good position, you know, he had everything lined up. He had the tools, he had the Roach Warren, he had the tech so that he could go straight into the Roach speed. He had the 3 bases, and then he just killed all those Zealots, and he was like, okay, what exactly are you gonna do? You're gonna poke a little bit with those units, but what are you doing at home? Scouts with the Overlord, doesn't see the robotics, doesn't see the gateways, and just assumes that he's safe. He really thought, okay, I'm safe. I can drone up, I will have the better economy, and then I can carry the momentum in the late game. But Avenge was going for the 2-base push, and Boom Boom never saw it coming. It was way too late when those Zerglings that he had finally saw the units on the map, and by that time there was just no way for him to get his own defense up.
Really proper execution here by Avenge. Force shields are great, and Boom Boom looked really upset in the booth, and you saw that shot of him. He looked like he was really crushed by that loss.
The decision as well from Avenge to not even take down that 3rd base, because he's like, well, I know that you don't have anything. If you don't even try to defend that 3rd, you are really in a huge amount of problems right now. So if I move in and take down your natural, get that force field on the ramp towards your main base, you are done. This game will be over. So he moves in before the spine crawlers are done. And if those spine crawlers are actually ready, then maybe Boom Boom can just hold long enough to get those units out and defend against
The
them.
force field on the ramp was really the nail in the coffin. We're going to take a look at this replay here. So you guys can basically see, you know, how this army goes in and crushes him.
Yeah. Even at the beginning, we already have an army supply heavily in favor of the AZUBU player, of the StarTale player, of course. And with the next round of warp-ins, this is just going to increase, as you can see here now, 60 to 35. This army moves in, the hallucinations as well. And Boom Boom, I mean, at this point, it was already way too late for him to do anything about it.
Yeah. There's no way. He has not the right composition. Those Zerglings not very useful for him. Roach speed nowhere near done. I mean, just watch Avenge walk through on move command on top of these units and then attack.
And then the force fields are just stellar. If those drones get close enough to those sentries and take a few of them out, then maybe he can make something happen. It's a desperation move, of course, but with this force field, he just blocks everything. And then when he moves further south, he actually uses the second one, there it is, and blocks every single drone. There is just nothing that Boom Boom can do. The force field on the ramp, blocking reinforcements.
That was a rough push to hold. I mean, there was basically no way.
You could see it at the harvester counts. We had 40 harvesters for the StarTale player for the Protoss, exactly what you would expect here. And I think Boom Boom went up to 63 or 64, and that's just way too much if you have to defend against such a timing.
Yeah, he just didn't know. And there's the dance on the Immortals and the Zealots. And that's all she wrote. That was a pretty straightforward game. Very unfortunate for Boom Boom. I mean, if he had known, he would not have played that way. He was not in the know. And he took a risk, because if he was up against a Stargate play or a fast third, he would have seen either one of those. But he was, expecting just more macro-oriented play out of Avenge, getting more probes and probably thinking about taking a third base.
From Boom Boom's perspective, the game was really going well for him. He faced those 6 Zealots at the beginning, but he was able to isolate 3 of them, surround them with the links and take them out. So he didn't really lose a lot of Zerglings with his defense. He forced the Mothership core back. He didn't take any drone damage, any economy damage whatsoever. But the problem really for him was the scouting. The second pylon in the main base was hidden. He never saw which tech tree was being used here, and well, in the end, Avenge just takes it, and now AZUBU has to find a new player, and it is actually Symbol as the second player today. Wow!
Symbol coming out early, and I like this choice by AZUBU for today, because they really need to put themselves on the scoreboard early. And Supernova, as usual, looking very sleepy over there, I saw, but Symbol, a great choice here to take out a Protoss, but if he falls here, they are in so much trouble.
But I like it because for me it just shows that AZUBU takes Avenge very serious. And if you think about the rest of the players that they have on the bench, it makes a lot of sense, for example, to use Sleep against someone like Bomber, just because Sleep prepared against 3 Terran players. So this is something that makes a lot of sense in that regard. If they told Symbol to prepare more for Protoss, that would be a good choice here. So we are going to take a 5-minute break, and as soon as we are back, we have our second match of the day. Avenge is going up against Symbol himself now, so see you guys in a few here at the GSTL with Colin Wolf.
Is it all gonna change? Slavery still remains.